Leading with the story, IMF approves $3.4 billion for Nigeria's emergency funding. Senate backs federal government's 850 billion naira loan request. Germany gives 22.4 million euros debt relief. Speaker seeks diversification of economy. Experts task government on spending. Details from front page continued on page 7. The bottom strip story says reps deplore alleged maltreatment of Nigerians in China, urge evacuation. Task force molds guidelines to ease Lagos and Ogun. Details on page 3. Police inspector found dead in Imo. Delta relaxes lockdown as economic activities resume tomorrow. Page 29. Alright, let's come up the first picture. COVID-19 security agents intercepting vehicles coming from Kebbi and Kwara states at the boundary between Oyo and Osun state. And second picture, members of the House of Representatives observing a 1-minute silence for those that lost their lives to COVID-19 pandemic. Alright, and beside the picture, how Buhari's COVID-19 speech leaked ahead of broadcasts. Presidency tracks suspects. You see the story on the front page, but it's continued on page 7. COVID-19 cases in Nigeria. Total confirmed 1,337. Alright, let's move to the next paper with me, the leadership newspaper. That's what I have here. And Trump calls PMB, promises US support to combat COVID-19. That's the lead story. You find it on page 4. America to assist Nigeria with ventilators. NCDC to test 2 million Nigerians in 3 months. Danger not over yet. SGF warns. Reps summon health minister over Kano as Ganduje hails PMB. Leave workers' salaries alone. NLC warns governors. Kogi tackles NCDC. Says we can't declare COVID-19 where there is none. And the picture we have here shows the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, exchanging congratulatory messages on the 50th anniversary of establishment of formal diplomatic relations between Nigeria and Jamaica. That's with the High Commissioner of Jamaica to Nigeria. Alright, bottom strip stories. Okay, before then, the story beside the picture. Akwa Ibom sets up post-COVID-19 economic reconstruction committee. Get details, the rest of the details on page 6. Alright, bottom strip now. 2020 budget. Senate approves PMB's request for 850 billion naira loan. It's on page 2. P&ID judgment. Federal government writes 10 banks, 6 Jonathan and Diezani's statements of accounts. You'll see it on page 2 of Leadership newspaper. Right? COVID-19, beware of fake lockdown funds. EFCC warns. It's on page 10. NERC wades into discourse disputes over power fluctuations. Niger governor consults 5 states of bandits attack. Alright, let's move up. And Okay, before we move up, beside the picture we have 19 updates as at April 28, 2020. All right, let's move up. IMF grants Nigeria's request for fund. Germany gives Nigeria 22.4 million euros debt-free, debt relief. And that story is on front page, continued on page 4. Senate rejigs committees, names Bashiru spokesman. You find that story on page 10 of Leadership newspaper. Okay, that's all. We go to Blueprint. Blueprint leads with PDP kicks as Senate gives accelerated approval to Buhari's 850 billion naira loan request. And that story is on page 6. The kicker says lawmakers loud Nigerians over limited palliatives, want NCDC strengthened. Federal government targets 2 million tests in 3 months. We can't declare COVID-19 where there is none, or where none exists, says Kogi State to NCDC. The picture shows Speaker of House of Reps Femi Gbalabamila moving a bill on the Quarantine Act 2014. Alright, bottom strip stories. Nasarawa, first index case traveled from Kano, 200 quarantined. You find that on page 5 and 13. 4 arrested in Anambra for hijacking 99 bags of Bua cement. Kaduna arrest cleric, evacuates 327 Almajiri. Jigawa receives 76 kits from Gombe. Find it on page 20. Alright, federal government declares May 1 public holiday, and it's on page 9. COVID-19 private sector donations hit 27.160 billion naira. Story on page 9. Alright, we move up now. Below masthead. All vulnerable Nigerians must access palliatives, says Gbalabamila. Reps summon PTF over Kano's mystery deaths. Nance cautions Buhari on lockdown relaxation. Stock markets rebounds, gains 58 billion naira. Story on page 24. And the story from Gbalabamila is on front page, continued on page 6. Finally, on Blueprint, COVID-19, we won't put children at risk opening schools. We won't put children at risk opening schools, says federal government. And that story is on page 14. Alright, we'll hold on here and go for a quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
COVID-19 is not airborne. The virus that causes the disease is transmitted through droplets. When people cough or sneeze, droplets land on nearby surfaces that you may touch. Therefore, clean surfaces regularly. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. Wash your hands with soap and water or alcohol-based hand rub. Maintain a physical distance of at least 2 meters from people, always. And if you are ill, wear a face mask to avoid infecting others.
Alright, welcome back. This is still newspaper headlines. In case you're just joining, we'll continue with the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Still on the COVID-19, IMF approves $3.4 billion for Nigeria. Pages 3, 5, 6, and 25. Senate approves Buhari's request for 850 billion naira loan. Loan approval, part of 2020 budget, says DMO. Reps summon PTF. Health Minister, NCDC DG. Trump, in phone conversation with Buhari, promises to send ventilators to Nigeria. Alright, coming down. We neither sampled nor tested customs rice in Oyo, says NAFDAC. You find the story on page 30. COVID-19, Nigeria has lost enormous revenue, says Senate President. Reps Speaker calls for wholesome reform of governance structure. Most plan for second economic stimulus legislation. Get it on page 5. 2 killed. Several houses burnt in Benue communal clash. That story is on page 26. Members of House of Representatives during plenary at National Assembly in Abuja on Tuesday. That's the picture we have there. And last story here. Kano needs more testing centers, says Ganduje. NCDC opens 2 more laboratories, total now 17. Nasarawa records first COVID-19 case. Alright, with that we'll move up now. Above masthead. Diverse reactions trail Buhari's Monday broadcast. Nigerians speak on curfew. Interstate lockdown. Palliative. Story starting here continues on page 6. Finally, no definite date for reopening of schools, says federal government. Alright, let's move to the New Telegraph newspaper. Hard times hit states as governors cut salaries and budgets. NLC vows to resist stoppage of wages, pay cuts. Ekiti slashes Fayemi and appointees' salaries by 50%. And that's a picture of the Senate President and the Vice. Senate President Ahmed Lawan and the Vice Senator Ovie Amuagege. Okay, by the sides of the picture, by the right side now. Also inside we see Kogi tackles NCDC, insists state is COVID-19 free. Page 30. Tension in Ondo community over death of suspected COVID-19 patient. That's on page 27. On same page 27 we see another story. Oni donates 3 motorized fumigators to Lagos. And on page 30, Kano is facing community transmission, says Ganduje. On page 25, BOL grants customers 3 months moratorium on loans. Okay, that's Bank of Industry grants customers 3 months moratorium on loans. Okay, COVID-19 global cases 3,121,049, and global recovery. You see, we have 947,209 recoveries. Global deaths 216,508. And we have some cases in different countries. In US we have 58,568, and Italy we have 259. Spain has 23,822. France has 23,660. UK 21,678, Belgium 7,331, Germany 6,215, Iran has 5,877, Brazil has 4,683, while China has 4,633. Okay, these are the death cases in these countries. Okay, bottom strip story. Abuja, Lagos hotels decline to be quarantine centers. NCDC targets testing 2 million Nigerians in 3 months. Trump calls Buhari, promises to donate ventilators. That story is on page 4 in New Telegraph newspaper. Rising carbon dioxide could harm ability to think. Rising carbon dioxide could harm ability to think. It's on page 26. Let's move up now above lead story. Federal government seeks banks documents to overturn $9.6 billion P&ID case on page 6. NMA 66 health workers test positive for COVID-19. Story on page 26. Lassa fever claims 188 lives in 3 months. Wow. And this story is on page 7. Donations to COVID-19 relief fund hits 27.2 billion naira. That's according to CBN. And that story is on page 25. Okay, above masthead, IMF approves $3.4 billion emergency funding for Nigeria. Senate okays Buhari's 850 billion naira loan request. Get it on page 6. Finally, naira slumps to 470 against dollar on parallel markets, and that story is on page 25. All right, to end today's program, we'll look at business stories on Business Day newspaper. Nigeria gets lifeline as IMF approves $3.4 billion loan request. Shelves planned external borrowings in 2020 budget. Senate approves 850 billion bond issuance for federal government. You see that story on the front page, continued on page 21. Alright, food crisis looms amid fear of coronavirus spread in North. Further spike in food prices. And finally, FMDQ exchange admits United Capital Sterling Bank commercial paper notes to its platform. You see that story on page 30. Okay, that's all we have on Business Day, and that is as far as we can go on the program for today. Thank you for watching. Continue to stay safe. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize your hands, wear face masks, and until we come your way again, I remain Charles Philip Wakalam. Bye-bye.
COVID-19 is not airborne. The virus that causes the disease is transmitted through droplets. When people cough or sneeze, droplets land on nearby surfaces that you may touch. Therefore, clean surfaces regularly. Avoid touching your eyes, nose,